Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of Politics and Pop Culture with Ciara.
And Chris, Ciara, how are you feeling this morning?
I am feeling blessed to be alive, to see another day, just happy and grateful to be here right now doing what I love, and also being able just to comprehend and digest everything that's going on in the world and
Feeling
still
so
being
good.
able to smile.
Absolutely. And it's cooling down. I know before it was like in the 80s and 90s, especially here in Ohio. And now we're like at that comfortable 75, like homecoming weather. Like I'm so mad we're not having homecoming, like our college homecoming. This is what, when it starts like cooling down, not getting hot, it just makes me think about football and
Tailgate.
tailgating and homecoming. And now it's
Oh,
just like COVID. We're on
what
Zoom.
a time.
We should do
But
a
I was watching on Spelman College's like Instagram. Their Miss Spelman in court did this whole Instagram story and really trying to keep the sisterhood active and alive during these times. And I felt it. Like I was still able to feel that love and that sisterhood through them sharing their daily experiences of going through this virtual learning. So I think in a way, like people are still feeling that support.
Okay,
Yeah.
I feel that. Would you like to hop into some pop culture news? We got
Let's
pop
get it.
culture and we got some politics. Okay, so this morning I was reading Politico and found that a recent Monmouth University poll found Biden at 67% support among Black, Latino, and Asian voters, far ahead of Trump, but below the usual Democratic consolation for voters of color. Kamala Harris presided over a virtual meeting, a private virtual meeting with influential people in the Black community. People included on that call were Jay-Z and radio personality Charlamagne the God, and also civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump. The call was to see ways that we can energize and woo Black voters so you can vote for Joe Biden. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm open to it. Like, let's keep on having these dialogues. And I want their campaign to really continue to find real answers, like sustainable answers and sustainable policies and plans that they can show to the Black and Latino community. Like, here are your jobs. Here's the police reform. Here is how we are going to make things better for you. Where I think, as with Trump, it's a lot of, it's the lowest unemployment rate. You know, people were working, people had jobs before COVID. Okay, yes, people want jobs, but people also want to feel seen. People want to feel safe. They want to know that the police department and these public services are doing their jobs. They want COVID to end. And Biden has a plan for that. I was just on his website and he is building plans to get more jobs in the healthcare field in specifically Black and brown communities. So it's kind of like tackling your jobs with making the Black and brown communities better. So I think they have plans. And so it's just holding them accountable to these plans.
Which is great because if they have the plans, they have the messaging on the website, what's not connecting? Because for 67% of Black, Brown, and Asian Latino voters to be that be the base when it's usually more, it's like, well, what's missing? So
Mm-hmm.
in the article, it said the mood was, as Crump said, upbeat, but callers were frank about their concerns, urging Biden to deliver a positive message. So it's not just about anti-Trump, but what you're going to do for our side. And if I can be critical of the Biden campaign, which I easily could, I think there has been more messaging about anti-Trump and not
Mm-hmm.
pro Joe Biden. What am I going to
Mm-hmm.
do? I did look at the town hall just a little bit yesterday, and a woman asked a question about how you're going to make healthcare affordable. Instead
Mm-hmm.
of Joe Biden saying, "Here's my plan of how I'm going to make healthcare affordable," he started that conversation by saying, "Well, Trump called people losers and suckers and losers." First of all, that was from an anonymous source, so we don't even know if Trump really said that. We will never really know until there's audio proof, like
Mm-hmm.
actual corroborated proof of that. Number one. Number two, why do you always have to pivot to what Trump is doing? Just be the best candidate you can be, because I feel like people that are voting for Joe Biden aren't voting for Joe Biden. They're voting for someone against Donald Trump, and that's weak because the Trump base is solid. They care about President Trump. They will die by that man, where I don't think that the same energy is true for the Biden campaign. I don't see that enthusiasm. I don't see that pride. Well, I see
Yeah,
the pride. Why do you feel prideful about Joe Biden?
because let's go back to the healthcare. Trump it was such an easy question to answer because Trump doesn't even have a healthcare plan. He is busy trying to take away the Affordable Healthcare Act. And then he's like, I have a plan. Wait and see. Well, there is no plan. Like there is nothing. So at least with Biden, you know that what the Affordable Healthcare Act is or was before Trump is what it's going to be at minimum, and then just making that better.
Yeah. And I just think that he has to do a better job of articulating that message. I think a larger conversation with President Obama is that Obama did a really, really good job to intersect culture and politics, kind of like what we're doing with the show. Like, we knew that Obama was like cool. Like, he knew how to get in there and be friends with everybody, because I do feel like one of the big Candace Owens talking points is that culture raises a lot of Americans. A lot of people look to Jay-Z, they look to Beyonce, they look to Kylie Jenner to tell them what to do, who to be, how to think, how to move. And I think that there needs to be, I'm happy that they had that conversation. I should have been on that conversation, because I would have called out Charlamagne the God and Jay-Z, just saying, like, how can you all use your voice? Because people look at you all as role models. So what are you all doing to get people energized about getting informed about voting?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like Candace Owens, but I do really agree with her sentiments about how we've lost our family values and we've replaced our family values and fathers in the home with hip hop culture, and particularly. I don't think it's country music. I don't think people listen to Tim McGraw say, oh, here's how I'm going to feel about life. I think people watch the WAP video. I think they look at the way Cardi B talks. I think they look at the way Megan Thee Stallion talks. Nipsey Hussle, who's been a literal icon in the Black community after his death. And I think that our celebrities are raising our citizens, and so the celebrities have a responsibility and a duty to get in there and tell people how to vote and how to think and how to do that research to become informed voters. What do you think about that? And I assume you read the Candace Owens book. How was it?
Yes, I did. I felt it was a smooth read. Like, it was easy to digest. I thought that how she laid out her arguments were plain as day. It was easy to see what her viewpoint is, and I liked reading it because it made me really clarify what my viewpoint is. And what I do like about Candace Owens, which I wish a lot more celebrities would do with each other, and I think what a lot more of their fans should do with the people who they idolize, is to question them, is to really ask them hard questions. Like, interviewers don't go easy on celebrities just because they're celebrities. They have huge platforms. Ask them tough questions, hold them accountable for their answers, and not in a cancel culture kind of way. Absolutely not. But question them, listen to what they have to say. If you disagree with them, voice your opinions and why you disagree with them. And now but I don't think anybody should go easy on anyone with a following of millions of people. Like, keep on thinking, keep on talking, keep on working it out with your followers. But I also think, as far as family values are concerned, things are changing, things are shifting. The family before in the 60s doesn't look like the family in 2020. I think people are realizing that there's different and more effective ways for individual people to raise children, to build character. And that doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, I don't think that necessarily has to look like mother, father, children. I'm open to experimentation and to seeing what different types of community raising children look like. And because what I think kids need is structure and love and guidance. And to say that only a father can really raise like a successful, well-thinking child, I don't think that's true.
I understand. I think that the structure that you speak to that we feel like we need is what's being dismantling, what's being and what's changing. Where back in the 60s, when we had that nuclear family with the father and the mother, I think that was we could look at the data to see that people were being raised in a more effective way. And so I think when we start trying to innovate and change and get away from that traditional type of family, I think that's what's causing our detriment. So I'm more so us kind of resorting back to like the older ways, because I feel like that worked. Like, I think that works. So, I mean, we can have some large conversations about innovative ways to parent, but I just
Mm-hmm.
know what did work, and we have data to support that when there's a mother and a father who are married, that poverty rates are decreased, literacy rates are up, high school graduation rates are up, and we need to kind of get back to that because I don't think that there is a large conversation on nuclear and traditional family. No one's talking about marriage anymore. No one's
Mm-hmm.
telling people to not get married before they have a job. Like, there's just no type of parameters and standards in regards to family. People are just being raised any old kind of way, and I think that's what's causing our detriment. I really enjoyed Candace Owens' book. Like you, I read it in one sit down. It was really intriguing. I
Mm-hmm.
think you raised some really
One sit down.
one sit down, ladies and gentlemen. Like, you can get that book and bang through it relatively quickly. And you
Mm-hmm.
know, the book sold out. She sold over 100,000 copies of her physical book. Like, she was moving units like in 2-3 days.
And I hope people are looking at her arguments and saying, yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree. And for me, it was, I don't agree. Reading her introduction, I have a tab. You know, the whole argument when Trump was running was he said to Black people, what do you have to lose by voting for me?
Yes, that's how the book
And
started.
that's how the book started. And I think that's really the thesis, like what it's about, what it goes into. And I think that everyone should, off the top of their head, answer that question. What do you have to lose by voting for Trump? Don't do any research, but answer the question and then read your answer and then figure out if you really need to do more research on facts. Is your answer solely based on emotion or based on what you've been told by the media? Like, what is influencing your answer to that question? What do you have to lose? And I like the fact that now, since I have become more politically engaged within maybe the last month, I've been reading just a little bit. Like, I'm not even like on it like that, but just taking it as I want to, no overload. And I've been able to answer that question for myself.
I love that. And I like that introduction. I thought that was a good point to preface the book. I thought the book was so well organized, like the way
Oh yeah.
addressed the thoughts and the way that she intersected politics and pop culture and did so in a way
Mm-hmm.
that was digestible. I liked it. And I think with anyone, my dad used to always tell me, like, when you're listening to anyone, like, eat the meat and spit the bones out. Like, there's not a single person in pop culture or in my life that everything they do and say I agree with. There's no
Mm-hmm.
one. Everyone can be flawed, but that
Yeah.
also doesn't mean that we throw the baby out with the bathwater. We also can
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of what you said, a little bit of that say, and find our own consensus and our own conclusions. And I think Candace Owens is a good catalyst for getting that intellectual work started in individuals. And I like the book. I like what she speaks on, and I encourage people to listen to what she has to say.
Yeah. And one of there were two things that really stood out. A lot of things stood out to me, but the book is titled How Black People Can Make Its Second Escape from the Democratic Plantation. So then she goes into, the facts on how Democrats are slave owners and racist. And I was never under the illusion that Democrats were abolitionists back in the days of slavery. I just assumed that everyone was for race, all white people were for racism, especially in government, except for abolitionists, except for those people who were actively fighting policies to end slavery. So this whole notion of why we shouldn't be Democrats because Democrats were slave owners, I just don't know if that's a substantial argument in 2020. You know what I mean?
I think those are some good points. I think when we look at the intention and creation of Planned Parenthood, we look at the intention and creation of the KKK, all of those systemic racist organizations that Democrats were a part of, we have to at least pose the question, like, are these Democrats really doing something for us? Are they really putting forth policies that I can stand by and vote for willingly as a Black American? And I think there's nothing wrong with asking that question. And it might be, yeah, because if you look at what the Republicans are offering compared to what the Democrats are offering, and you feel more inclined with the Democrats, then vote that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear you. And I think you've raised some really good points, and the book raises some really good points too.
And then lastly, so I think it was around like the last chapter where she starts to call out like Colin Kaepernick, rappers. And then she goes into AOC and like this Amazon deal. And basically how AOC didn't want Amazon in her neighborhood because they don't, Jeff Bezos, a billionaire, they get tax cuts, they don't pay taxes. But then that was a lot of jobs and a lot of money that her residents lost out on, right? And so I think that is just the question that also brings up, like, when it's capitalism versus socialism, either you're working for the billionaires, you know what I mean? And you're working to get them richer, or you're working for the government, you know what I mean? Or you're in some ways tied to the government. So it's like, it's kind of like which one?
Right. And that's unfortunate. And if you haven't read Black Up by Candace Owens, pick it up.
Or just watch the Ben Shapiro interview.
That too. But we also want people to read.
Yes, read. But reading is expensive. I picked up this book and I'm like, ooh, my goodness.
That is true. It does cost. But it costs to be the boss.
It does. It's an investment. It's an investment.
And what better investment to make than our own knowledge and self-progression?
Hello?
Hey. Let's talk about TikTok. What's going on with TikTok, Ciara?
Now, for all of you who don't know me, that don't follow me, I love TikTok. I am a TikTok user when, what are we in? This pandemic, when this pandemic started, I turned to TikTok and that was like my escape. That was like my work. That was like my job. And that I'm very privileged to be able to say like this app was taking up all my time. But TikTok has been banned. Trump wants to ban TikTok, let's say that. And because the Chinese are using that data for who knows what. But let me pull this up right here, right now. Here's the latest. Oracle, which is an American-owned company, has made an offer to buy TikTok from the Chinese. But they have not been approved from the Trump administration on the regulations for how they're going to actually get TikTok. And I think the Trump administration is going to kind of give them like the stiff arm and wait until the last minute to say, nope, we don't like it, and ban TikTok, because TikTok can use the information they're getting to spy on American citizens, can use our data, can get our information to do whatever they want. We don't know. So I understand Trump's ban of TikTok for our safety. And it's kind of like the same reason why Facebook is banned in China, right? So I suggest getting a VPN like the Chinese do. And what a VPN does is it kind of can help you still go on these apps. But I'm not here for it. I'm not here for this TikTok ban. TikTok has built businesses and empires. American citizens are getting wealth from TikTok and are able to be entrepreneurs and be those social media influencers and have that pay, where Facebook is not doing that for American citizens. So I think this is a real ripoff, and TikTok's demographic is Gen Z, is young voters. So if Trump cuts off this communication for them now, I think that will have effects in the election.
I think that President Trump has done a really good job of putting America first, which not a lot of presidents in the past 40 years have done. So when we look at President Trump's intention, which is to put America first to protect us against any type of security threat internationally, I think that I'm with it. I think that President Trump I look at America as our home, right? So if someone across the street is coming in ways and looking in your home, what are you going to do about that? You're going to say, oh, no, you cannot come and spy in our home. I feel like that's what President Trump is doing on a macro level. A Forbes article posted in August reported Addison Rae, who made $5 million in 1 year, and that there were 6 other celebrities who made at least $1 million in 1 year on TikTok. So I do think that there is a big economic implication about removing TikTok, but I think that the risk and the threat that it poses to our national security is far greater than the smaller economic gain that people get, because really YouTube, Facebook, more American-owned companies are where the big dollars are being spent. So I think that Americans are smart enough and capable enough to innovate and find something that's better than TikTok. I'm not a TikToker. I don't have the app, but I
Yeah.
applaud President Trump's goal about putting America first and making sure that we're not being spied on by the Chinese, who have been our biggest rivals, who have been the creators of the coronavirus, Kung Flu. So
Oh my God.
I can understand why President Trump would want to get rid of China, because he doesn't like China, and TikTok is made by China, and the coronavirus came out of China. So understanding that rhetoric and understanding what Chinese power is, we need to limit them at all costs. And if that means removing TikTok, I'm with it.
Not eliminate them at all costs.
Eliminate the threat, not them. Eliminate the threat. And TikTok is a threat. It poses a threat to our national security. That's facts.
And Facebook doesn't pose a threat to our national security?
It does, but...
And that's my point. It's like Facebook and American tech companies can sell our information to foreign interests, and foreign interests can buy into Facebook and other companies to do what they want. They can buy ads. Facebook can sell our data to Russia to give them information on what we're doing on our social media apps. They're not rechanneling everything they're making, all their information. They're not rechanneling that for American use. They're selling that globally. People who work at Facebook and these apps, they're coming from other countries. And I think that's another reason why Trump's America First rhetoric is just xenophobic. It's just like, then you're not getting all of these minds to work on these apps and build a technological future for America. We can only do so much. And it's like, we need a world together as one. Yes, America first. Yes, protect us. Yes, keep us in mind and at the forefront. But I also think we need to play a part in the global world and economy and building technology and things for the future.
I disagree with the fact that Facebook can pose a global threat to America, because Facebook has been called accountable. They've had Mark Zuckerberg have to testify in front of Senate. The global economic impact that Facebook would have on the world is way bigger than TikTok. And we need to start slowly removing a lot of these social media apps that are just taking up so much of our lives. So I don't think that the two are equal. So they compare like Facebook and TikTok.
And how is that not infringing upon people's freedoms? You know what I mean? People's right to go on an app, to accept the terms and agreements, which people don't read, but they really should. Like, that is up to you,
I can understand both sides of the argument, but I'm rooting for the ban of TikTok. Goodbye.
I am rooting for, like I said, like the healthcare, find a replacement, find an equal replacement that works just as good, that provides just as much opportunities. That algorithm gives a chance for really everyone to play an equal part to become social media influencers, because that's a job now. So yeah, give me a replacement to TikTok.
I hear you. American owned, and one that's safe.
Yes.
In other news, it was reported that Nene Leakes is leaving the Real Housewives of Atlanta. She announced her departure Thursday on her YouTube channel, noting that after a lot of emotional negotiations, she could not come back to the deal with Bravo. She said, "There's been a lot of emotions on both sides. It's been hard, and I've made the hard, difficult decision to not be a part of the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 13. She also said, "It wasn't an easy decision for me. Again, it was hard." The Real Housewives of Atlanta debuted on October 7, 2008. Since then, as of May 24th, 2020, there have been 264 episodes of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is a very popular and successful show going into its 13th season. The fact that Nene Leakes will not be a part of it, who was someone who was on the show back in October 2008, is very unfortunate and very sad. We will miss seeing Nene Leakes on TV.
Nene is a pop culture icon. The show is so great, and the show is what it is because of Nene. The OGs of the Real Housewives franchise are why we like it so much. And I think Bravo needs to step it up. Again, it's just like Bravo doesn't, people at the top are stingy with theirs. And it's like, we can find someone new and cheaper who will cause just as much drama. So bye. And I don't think that's right. And did you know, I just saw this the other day, but if a housewife is pushing a product on the show, Bravo gets a percentage of the profits
Not a surprise.
from that product.
That's not a surprise. I could believe it. I didn't know that, but I could believe it. That makes sense.
Yeah, and so like, and it's like all these housewives have separate businesses that they say on the show, and so Bravo gets a percentage of all of those sales, and it's like Bravo is making that money.
Yeah.
And so, and then also New Housewives, I watch it all.
You
There's
watch
a new
Potomac?
house. Yes.
I hear that's the best one. I don't watch a lot of it, but I hear Potomac is like the one right now. Is
It
that
is. It's very good. High ratings. It's Potomac in Atlanta, you know, Black Girl Magic. But the Real Housewives of New York, their newest housewife, Leah, she made the show this season. I'm just gonna say it like that. She made this show, and she's also in negotiations for her contract as well because she thinks she should get more money. And I agree. And there's this whole um, with Tamar Braxton, after she tragically tried to commit suicide, she talked about her rights as a reality star, you know, and how these reality stars aren't unionized, they aren't protected in these contracts, they're kind of just left out to the wild. So I do think that they need to unionize and need to get someone looking at their contracts and really protecting their person, their personal lives, their wallets, and looking out for them as people. And so I applaud Nene because at the end of the day, she's looking out for her.
I agree. And when you look at what the Real Housewives of Atlanta has done, because there was not many reality show ensemble casts in the way that there are now, everyone is doing that type of like, let's get 6 women together and make a
Mm-hmm.
reality show of them being friends. The Real Housewives of Atlanta was a pioneer in that. And for Nene to kind of be the spearhead of that, to be the leader of that, it speaks for itself. So you'll never be able to take away what she does. And I hope that Nene Leakes was very entertaining. I love Close Your Legs to Married Men, Bloop. I love You're Not Smart. Read
We see
all of
each
it.
other.
We see each other. We
I
see
said
each other.
what I
I
said.
said what I, you can't beat that. So but I also feel like, you know, with everything, there's a time in a season, and I think that her
Mm-hmm.
season may be ending, and that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. You can't be at the top forever. You know what I mean?
She got her money, she got her checks.
yeah, and so it's just like, look at how she came into it back in 2008 to where she is now. Her house, her stature, her cars. It's just like you had a good run, and now it's
Mm-hmm.
time. It's over now. So
Yeah.
same with the Kardashians and their show. Like you can't be on top forever,
Nope. And it's okay.
and that's okay. Well, so
All right.
would you like to wrap us up with something positive for the people?
I sure do. So recently, I have been interviewing for a job. It's a retail job, something to do that I can guarantee is kind of like safe with the pandemic going on. And I've gone through 3 interviews so far. And I remember just after the first interview, it was group style. And after that, I just felt a lot of pride because within that interview, I was able to really reflect and articulate what I have done so far in my life, the experiences I've had that made me who I am, and why I would be of value to a company or just any group or team in particular. And it just made me feel very empowered, regardless of whether or not I got the job. It was just a nice reflection on things that I have done. So I want to kind of recommend to people to go out and interview for a job, the job you've always wanted, the job you thought about having. Send in an application, try and get an interview, talk to people, have them question you on who you are, on what you've done, on what you want to do, and what you aspire to be, and your positive attributes and your negative attributes. It's a really great tool to just reflect on who you are and what you want to be and what you've done in an interview setting. And especially if the interviewee is doing it the right way, you guys can have a great dialogue and put yourself out and meet strangers. So I want to charge people to do that, especially during this time. If you're unsure, you know, an interview is an interview. It's not a guarantee on a job yet. So I just want to say, go ahead, go for it, give it a try.
Go ahead and go for it. And again, thank you all so much for listening to our show. This is Politics and Pop Culture. We'll continue to make episodes on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays on our podcast and on our YouTube channel. If this is your first time ever hearing my voice or seeing Ciara's pretty face, go ahead and subscribe and tell a friend about what we're doing. We're trying to have fun conversations that are informative, inspiring, and most importantly, entertaining, because don't nobody want to
Yes.
be bored. So
Hello.
continue to check us out and follow everything that we're doing.
Yes. Thank you so much for watching Politics and Pop Culture with Ciara.
And Chris, we'll see you next week on Monday.
Bye.